With the CBC's Michelle Song in Thunder Bay, Michelle, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford just finished speaking about the wildfires, and he talked about how the community of Thunder Bay is housing many evacuees.
Right. Arthi, I want to go through some of the numbers that the Premier has shared today. Nearly 200 active fires now. 81 are considered out of control, 11 under control. 10 communities have been evacuated, 4 are under a warning, and over 100 fire crews are on the ground. He says he has deployed water bombers and helicopters, and he is making investments in more resources to deal with the fires. And he's also gotten confirmation from the federal government that supports will be in place. They will be coming soon. He reiterated, though, a sticking point for him was that the criticism he faced, he wanted to defend that criticism again, that he may have underfunded firefighters. He says that he didn't once again.
What I find despicable and disgusting, that opposition would politicize the amount of money being spent and going out there and putting false information out. And it's inaccurate, it's untruthful. In a time of a crisis, all levels of government need to come together.
Arthi, the Premier has said that no one has lost their lives, thankfully, but some First Nations communities in the northwestern part of the province narrowly missed the fires, they say, when they were trying to flee in the last couple of days. One community, Namaygoosisagagun First Nation, narrowly missed the fires. They said that they were fleeing in a matter of minutes, and their community has completely burned down now. The Ministry of Natural Resources faced questions of why there were no supports in place. Why didn't they call an evacuation order sooner? But they said that the fires were just so out of control. They've never seen fires of this nature before, and they did their best.
Michelle, what are you also hearing from evacuees where you are right now?
Well, we spoke to one evacuee from Armstrong, Ontario. He says that he packed up his van with his kids and wife and brought only the essentials. And he tells us a little bit about how he was feeling when he was driving 3 hours down to Thunder Bay.
It was a long drive, and it always is a long drive. It's a 3-hour drive, and we do it every couple of weeks to get groceries anyway, but just trying not to think about what we forgot and what we should have grabbed, and trying not to remember everything that could be gone.
Arthi, again, Premier Doug Ford says that 4 communities are under evacuation watch. So more evacuees could be coming to areas like Thunder Bay, Toronto, Niagara. Thunder Bay, though, says that their hotels are fully booked. They are reaching capacity here in the city. So they will be likely heading more towards Toronto. The evacuee that we spoke to, that you just heard from, says that he's heading down south all the way to London, Ontario, to stay with family as well.
Michelle, thank you for this. That is the CBC's Michelle Song in Thunder Bay. And for a closer look at the situation on the ground in Northern Ontario, we're joined now by Paul Surratt. He is the Director of Operations at ISN Masqua, an Indigenous-led organization that coordinates emergency operations for the communities in the area. He joins us now from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Thank you for making time for us.
Good afternoon. Miigwech for having me.
First, I wanted to ask you what the situation is like where you are right now and what sort of conversations you're having with people who are seeking shelter and help.
Thanks for that. Currently, we're on the ground in Sudbury, Toronto, and we're looking at Barrie by the end of today. Our teams are on the ground and receiving folks as we speak. I think the best way to describe things right now, I mean, certainly there's anxieties, and you can see it, the feelings from the folks that are coming out. You know, they're now displaced, and for these situations where they didn't have much time to get ready and get out. So we're really working with them, getting them set up, getting them safe. And then we start to implement our services, our wraparound services for them. And one of the biggest pieces, I think, is that mental health support and that health for them and their well-being. We just want to make them safe and get them relaxed for starters. And then we'll take over and implement all the services that go with that while we have them.
How challenging is it to keep track of where everyone is coming from, and where they're heading to as you try to make sure you're providing the accurate support?
The first 24, 48 hours, of course, is always pretty hectic. Our provincial partners are doing their very best to coordinate on the getting folks out of these communities, and that's a big piece to everything. We get notice to be set up and get ready, and we've done that. So it's a process that just runs as best as it can, given the dynamics and circumstances that is changing. It's changing constantly. And I think we just need to look up north and in some of the communities up there. So, we're prepared, and we take them as we get them.
You know, you touched on it a little bit there. I'm wondering if you can walk me through how you were alerted to this and told to prepare for the supports you'd need to provide in this particular instance.
This is something that we've done now for a number of years, so we're pretty versed at that whole entire process. It's just that partnerships with our provincial friends, the federal partners, everybody that's involved here in this entire process of getting these folks out. So we're very up to date on everything that transpires and a process that has to play out when these things happen.
What has the timeline look like? We heard a lot of questions that were put to Ontario's Premier just in the last few minutes about the response, particularly when it comes to First Nations that have had to be evacuated. What has the timeline been like? Has there been enough support and advance notice as well for those individuals that have now been sort of forced to flee in a very expedited manner?
I can only speak to our end of the receiving end of things. It's a bit of a process on that end, and as you can tell, it's rather hectic. It's dire in situations, and these communities are under a lot of pressure, and the partners that need to step up and help them get out. We get normally 24 to 48 hours. We're able to stand up and be ready on our end at the host site locations to take these folks when they come out.
Right now, when you look at the supports that are needed for evacuees, what is the most pressing resources or supports that are required?
Once we have them on the ground at the various municipalities, we rely heavily on the local partners. And I think probably the biggest piece would be the health piece. That can be challenging. The stage one, the determination of the type of the community dynamics that come out is always the vulnerable. They want to get them out first. So we're faced with getting health systems set up right away, working with the health partners at the designated areas and engaging them and providing those things, from the simple things from prescriptions and getting people to appointments. And we work hand in hand with the local health providers. So that's probably one of the biggest pieces that we face in that first 48 hours of getting folks settled.
You know, when I look at the numbers that were just provided by Ontario's Premier, he said that about 81 of the current fires, are deemed out of control. So what are you anticipating then? That is some growth since what we've seen earlier today. I'm wondering what you are anticipating over the coming hours and days.
For us on our end, I think this could stretch out for 2 to 3 weeks that they're displaced. It all depends on the situation back home, when it's determined to be safe to go back, and then we can implement our repatriation process. So in the meantime, we get set up here now. We're going to be looking at 2 to 3 weeks, we estimate, sometimes different, but we'll go into, once we have them settled, we go into what's called a maintenance mode or the recreation mode. We have to keep these folks busy. We have to keep them fed. We need to keep them safe. We need to take care of them and work with them, because every community is unique, different dynamics. Depending on what municipality we're in, we lean on our partners there at that level to help us to keep these folks entertained, and they step up. A shout out to Red Cross. They step up all the time, and they're providing those essential things that they need at the host locations. Our transportation supporters and everything like that plays into a huge part of keeping these folks busy while they're with us.
Paul, I want to thank you so much for making time for us today as we discuss the situation with the evacuees. That is Paul Surratt. He is the Director of Operations at ISN Mascot, and he joined us today from Sault Ste. Marie. Thanks again.
Miigwech. Thanks for having me.